Randy, he says that he doesn't agree with the things that were said in the people bought what and COVID. I'm sure we'll come to it. Are we going to discuss that report? Because he made comments about, so if I can just briefly touch on it. Randy, Egyapa, are you sitting here and looking into these cameras and telling the Ghanaian people that you find nothing wrong with our country, your government that you serve in, your colleagues, and that if you were Minister for Health, you would have gone to sign a contract for uncompleted buildings to be used as isolation center for a 25-year lease for COVID-19, and you would have paid 13 million Ghana cedis and never used the building? Would you do that? Is that the kind of decision making you that I know, Egyapa Mercer, would you be so reckless with taxpayers' money? You, Egyapa Mercer, are you sitting here and telling me that as a lawyer, you as Minister of Health would have signed a life insurance policy and not seen the policy document? Would you have done that? Yet you have your health minister sign a 15 million Ghana cedi life policy insurance agri package for 10,000 health workers. There was no insurance policy document. There was no list of beneficiaries. As a lawyer, is that right? Wait.
You want me to provide the answer?
Right, you have pen and paper. You, as a lawyer, if you were Minister for Health, would you have sat down for equipment in the hundreds of thousands of dollars to have been bought with taxpayers' money? Loans that have been contracted that we have to repay. Purpose for hospitals and not ensure that those equipments got to the hospitals. Would you have done that? As Minister for Health, Egyapa Mercer, if you were lawyer, and I know you as an individual, like you said, you are my friend, I know you, I know the principles you hold. Do not let politics erode your principles. Would you have sat there as Minister for Health and signed contracts worth over 500 million Ghana cedis without using the Give Me's platform? You, who seeks accountability, would you have done that? If the answer to the 4 instances I have given are yes, I'd advise myself on holding you out as a friend. Because show me your friend, I'll show you your character. Lest people think I'm corrupt. But if the answer is no, which I know it ought to be, knowing who you are and what your principles are, then you would join me in calling for a proper audit and investigation of these audit reports. And not sit here and wish it away and say it is just misrepresentation. No!
Randy, why is it that conveniently, the example that I cited, he did not repeat that?
Are the examples I cited in the report?
Oh, they are. I don't have a problem. I haven't said
so
that.
Answer the 4 questions.
No,
this is a student, you want to write an exam. Your teacher has set a question. Then you say, because I didn't study for this. Say, I learned reproductive system. That's why are you asking me part of a plant?
Okay. I clearly, of course, I don't know the details of what it is that issues that the Auditor General raised with respect to the instances that you cited in its entirety. Because I'm told that, for example, the Ministry of Information, they've issued a statement to the effect that even the exit interview that would have been required to make the report complete did not take place at the Ministry of Information. I don't know what responses that the Ministry of Health has to provide to these issues that you raised. I think they've issued a statement addressing some of them. But I cited a particular example about $120 million that had been paid for vaccines, okay, out of which government had taken delivery of some. And the suggestion being made to the effect that the 80 million that hasn't been delivered is money that is missing. I'm saying that that decision, as far as I'm concerned, even without reading the report or the rebuttal or the explanation from the Ministry of Health, in itself makes sense to me why government should be commended for not paying all the 120 million and taking delivery of all the 120 million worth of vaccine. Especially with the facts, as we know, with respect to the uptake of vaccination in our country, where only 6 or so million vaccines have been used. Okay, what it means is that it was a prudent decision that government took. And of course, I don't know an audit or an investigation on an audit that you seek to call for. What I know is that when these reports are submitted to Parliament, members of it's referred to the Public Accounts Committee for you guys to invite the people to go through the processes. And if it is established that indeed there are no responses to some of the issues that have been raised, you guys know what to do in referring some of the individuals to the appropriate courts agencies for them to be held accountable. And I'm not going to hold brief for anybody at all when we get to that point and they are unable to provide their responses to the issues that have been raised in the report. That's it.
So the 4 issues I raised, the other one,
but of course, I don't know the details.
So you read the report, but you read only the one about that you can come and sit here and defend.
No,
anyway,
wait.
I thought you were done.
I'm not defending anything. I'm just saying that sitting where I sit, of course, there were several infractions that were identified.
So the 4 infractions I have related, for the purposes of this conversation, assume that what I have said is right.
I expect that the people who have custody of the information will respond appropriately. I'm saying that even without reading the Ministry of Health response, it made sense to me why that procurement process of paying in advance to ensure that at every point, because of the scarcity and the issues that are related to the COVID, okay, and the vaccine availability, for government to secure that volume for Ghana and, as it were, ask that it be released in a manner that would ensure that we do not waste them. That makes sense to me.
I have not seen the report, and I've not read it in detail. So that's why I've not really engaged on this issue. But I would expect, and sometimes I think that when these discussions come, and the auditors, for example, are not around, I think sometimes we also do them a bit of a disservice, especially when you have those who the audit affects then occupying the public space without the opportunity of the auditors to then speak to how many times they raise queries and the responses they got from those queries. Because if you follow the audit process, sometimes you find out that some of the questions that have been raised were raised by the auditors. The responses that they got is what then eventually informs the conclusions that they reach. So, for example, I can understand why we will pay money. And by nature of vaccines, you don't expect that 80-something million worth of vaccines for a country with a population of Ghana would arrive in one batch, in one consignment. But then the question that will arise is, when we pay the money, what were in the contract that was signed or the arrangement, what were the terms? You understand me? What were the terms? When did we make this payment? When did we receive these vaccines? Between the last time we received the vaccine and the time of the audit, I mean, what was the time span? What were the steps that had been taken by whichever authority paid the money to ensure a recovery or a refund of those monies, if indeed the terms of the agreement said so? I'm sure that these are all things that, because I would find it surprising that auditors will see that, look, we paid money, we got these vaccines. Why vaccines did not come? Because we didn't need them. We took steps for the refund to come and has not been done. And yet they would reach those damning conclusions. That's just the point I'm making. Because the point you make, I can understand fully with you. But at the end of the day, we also should be told that between when we received the last one and the time of the audit, or today, these are the steps we've taken to get a refund of the money. Because what is an issue today is that nobody is denying the fact that there is some $81 million that was paid for vaccine, of which the vaccine has not been supplied. Nobody is disputing that. What is an issue is whether it was done for purposes of defrauding the nation or engaging in any corrupt practice. Do you get what I'm saying? At the end of the day, there is $81 million of our money somewhere.
That's right.
There are people who are responsible for paying the money, and if the money has to be retrieving the money. What I would want to know is the steps that have been taken, if indeed the money should be refunded to us, the steps that have been taken to get the money back to us.
Yeah, of course. I mean, with the kind of agency that is involved, okay, it's UNICEF, I believe, or some EVAT.
That was
yeah,
UNICEF. It was a platform that was created
UNICEF
for the
EVAT
distribution of vaccines.
Platform where these monies, these are not individuals, okay, and obviously whatever protocols that they established. Like I said, I do not have the details. I haven't seen the contract, but the statement that the Ministry of Health issued is to the effect that the money is not lost. That was an assurance that was given to all of us, and I am hopeful that, like you've indicated, they will take the steps that are necessary to ensure that that fund that was paid, if there is no need for further procurement of vaccines going forward, because we do not know.
Because that was my disappointment with the statement. Like I said, I've not read the audit. I would have thought that beyond telling us that the assurance is important.
Yes.
But beyond assurance, we ought to be told whether, first of all, by the terms of the contract, a refund is due us. And the steps that have been taken for that.
That's right.
Or if a refund is not due us, and we have lodged that money there in anticipation of getting vaccines as and when, we ought to be told.
That's right. Yes. I agree. Some further detail ought to be provided.
Randy,
no issues at all.
No issues. Yet he sat here and wax lyrical. You are not
wax lyrical.
You had not. Naturally. You know how much of my man, how much also smile. You know what? To wait. You see, you are running away from your own shadow.
I'm not running away from anything.
No, you see, Randy.
I'm not running away from anything.
I asked 4 questions.
Okay.
The man chose to set his own question and answer. And every his own question he said and answered.
You see, Yata, let's be fair to the issues. I cited a particular example.
Okay.
And then you chose to ignore that and set your own questions. Yet you turned it around and accusing me of setting my own questions and answering.
Okay.
And now you.
So you're done. No, so your own question that you set, you see that your own question, you have not been able to answer all the issues. Now that we are asking, okay, so the money that has not, you claim has not been lost. Do you have any evidence to show us of how we are retrieving that money? And that you see, because that
I would have thought that the relevant question would be whether indeed and in fact Ghana paid 120 million
but if we did
UNICEF
not
or not.
No, but if we did not pay so,
but if we did,
if we did not pay, the
an
auditor,
international platform that clearly is credible, and we've indeed received 30 odd million plus of vaccines from them, then
Bobo, really, I hear you. The point here is this: do you have any evidence to show the Ghanaian people? And forget my four questions or your question, the example you gave. And if we did not pay that money, the auditors will not say that we paid that money. Like Randy rightly pointed out, I sit on the Public Accounts Committee. The audits are not done by the Auditor General just going in there and doing what he wants and walking away. The Auditor General goes, reviews the books. And Randy, at the Public Accounts Committee, we have, and that's why I'm saying that we must interrogate that report. We have the Auditor General send his rep to sit with us at the Public Accounts Committee. And when the persons of interest appear and we address the report, when they answer, we seek clarity from the Auditor General.
Yes, so let's go through those
and that's the investigation we're talking about.
Allegations about.
Master.
Because
you are the one, Randy.
Fact,
but Randy, right now he's
very well. Go ahead.
Okay. Go on.
You see, you talk about payments, Randy. When they went there, they saw that payment had been done. They also saw on the books how much from that payment has come. The Auditor General would not say that we have lost X amount if there is evidence, if you provided to them evidence that shows that, based on the contract, if X amount was supplied out of the total paid, within this time frame, Ghana can ask for a refund of what is left. If you gave them that information with documentary evidence, it will not find expression in the report. Bobo, is an MP. The Auditor General, they audit him, just like me. They audit us on our MP's common fund. Have you not been called? We don't disburse the fund. Our assemblies disburse the fund. We write and request for it. There are times when after you have made a request and the assembly does the disbursement of your funds, when they hand over, for example, you bought jerseys and they've done it and they give you the jerseys and you go and share, and maybe you have failed to bring them a distribution list. When the auditors come, the auditors see that from the MP's common fund account, X amount of money, 10,000 went to buy jerseys. They see that the stores received the 10,000, and they see that the MP collected the jerseys worth 10,000, but there is no distribution list. What do? Your assembly calls you to come as an MP to appear before the auditors and show them the distribution list. Then the auditors, what they do is the distribution list must have the phone numbers of the recipients. They call the recipients to verify that you didn't just sit down in your room and write names, to verify and be sure that has gone. Is that not what happens?
Well, I won't doubt that if that happens. I haven't gone through that process.
That is what happens.
Well, I said I won't doubt.
So, even when they are, Randy, because we have dealt with these things on the public accounts, we see them every time. Even when they most times the audit, they'll spend about 2 weeks with the institution. After that is done, they hold an exit conference and list all the issues for you and tell you they are going to do their draft report. And that comes back 30 days after. So within the 30 days, you even have the opportunity of going back to your original auditor or the audit service with evidence to deal with the issues that they raised before they do their final report. So clearly there's a 2 months window at the minimum for you to deal with the issues. So if they could not deal with the issues, how then do you turn around and tell me that this is not corruption and that this is not part of the reason why individual bondholders, Randy, a man who is 60 years old, spent his whole life in service to this country, 32 years of his life serving this country, puts his life savings in government bonds. Because we sat here and said those people who did Men's Gold and DKM, they are greedy people. They wanted quick returns. But government bonds are safe. Followed you and went and put his money in government bonds. Now you tell him he has to wait till 2052 to get his money. Because those bonds,
from 38 to
those
52.
bonds, no, wait. You see, Randy, if you bought a bond that will end in 2032, and now government is saying that 20 years from your end date, before you can retire them, 20 years from 2032 is when? 2052. Now tell me 30 years from now, how old that 62-year-old man will be. Randy, these are the real issues that we must be focused on. That people took COVID monies. And you see, when Bobo sits here and tries to paint a picture, did we not hear your own parliamentary candidate in Sagnerigu constituency, specific, say that she was given money as part of COVID money to take and go and share? Randy, we have evidence of people's drivers who were met on the road and asked, "Epe COVID biana, I take a form. You fill it out. The next week you are called. Is this your number? Then the next day you get 5,000 cedis on your mobile money." We have evidence of those. That is how you distributed. You gave money. Well, I don't know if you got some, but your parliamentary candidate, whether all the parliamentary candidates of the MPP were given, your parliamentary candidate got COVID money to go and share. Maybe you also got some, I don't know, but you never mentioned to me as your brother. You get it? It is this wanton dissipation of public funds that have brought us to where we are. Where, Randy, as a nation, you know, what's his name? Achampon. Achampon said, "Yentuya." This one is not Yentuya. This is Yen to me Ntuya. Because even if we wanted to pay, we cannot pay.